The Fort Madison Bloodhounds are brought to you by the Cedar Rabbids Titans Arena football team, the Packwood Locker, Smithsburg Auto of Fairfield, Iowa, and Richland's very own Henshaw Trailer Sales. We've got Coach Wilson on the phone. Welcome program, Coach.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, it's been kind of a season of, battling, but you finally get a win over the Fairfield Trojans. Welcome to the program, and I'd like to hear a little bit about what it felt like to get that first win.
Monkeys off the back, right?
Yeah.
It's I've been a long season. Obviously, being now 1-11, we had the opportunity to beat Fairfield at home the first game of the season, and we couldn't pull it off. And we had a couple other close games with Burlington and Mount Vernon. We just took us this long to finally get a win, and it felt good, and it was nice to celebrate in the locker room. And then, I thought that would be some momentum shift, and for our guys to come out the next day at Holy Trinity, and we stuck up the first half and was down 24, and ended up losing that game. But yeah, we got our first win of the year, and hopefully our guys enjoyed that, and hopefully we can get a few more here before the end of the season.
Well, you've had some of your players weren't eligible early in the year, and you've had some flus, and I know Nolan Guzmán missed at least that Fairfield game with some illnesses. How are you getting healthier and getting your roster kind of filled up a little better?
Well, not really. We are yesterday at practice. We had 7 guys out sick. We've had a text early this morning. Another guy's home sick today. So, 'tis the season. It's going around, and I'm sure it's in other programs too. But, I thought we were going to, be in a nice little spot where people are healthy and things. But, it is what it is. We're still going to go to practice. We're still going to battle, and we'll have guys to play on Friday as Mount Pleasant comes in. But that's what happens when you have a winter season and flu and sickness and whatever else going around.
It's been terrible. It's been terrible. I had to go with it. Scotty had to go with it. Jeff Mills had to go with him. All around, Coach Van Fleet had a little go with it. I've had coaches that have missed games, had players that have missed games. I've players that played with fevers and were slowed down a little bit. Hopefully your guys can get through that. I don't want to say it's a 24-hour bug, but 2 or 3 days later, you seem like you're kind of starting to come back around anyway. Well, who was the scoring leaders in that game with Fairfield?
So Fairfield, Friday night, Nolan Guzmán had a real big night, scored 33 points. He shot 10 of 14 from the field, 4 on threes, went 9 and 10 for free throw line, 33 points. He had 8 rebounds. And then Darius Foy had 10 points and 10 rebounds that night as well. So, those two carried us to the victory Friday night. And, Zeke had 6 points as well. And then, Lucas Helmick had 5 free throws, and Aurelio Wakindi had 5 points as well. So, Nolan's, again, our go-getter. He's our leader. And, he had a really good night and stepped up and played a really good second half against Fairfield to get us a victory.
Well, Darius Foy wasn't available in the first part of the season, but he's come back. What does it mean to your team, and how much more dangerous are you with him in the lineup?
Yeah, Darius gives us an inside presence. At 6'10", he's a junior. He was ineligible for part of last year. He's ineligible for part of this year. So, he's yet to play a full season, which is really, in my opinion, hindered his development and his growth from a basketball playing standpoint. So each game he plays, he gets better. He's kind of realizing some things. We're really working on some footwork and just, catching and scoring. He doesn't need to catch, dribble, and get all fancy when you're 6'10", So just working on some little things, some basic things with him. And, we've got to get him to become a dominant rebounder and things like that. So nice to play through him on the inside, especially with someone like Nolan on the perimeter. So, hopefully our guys are ready to go Friday when we play Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, I hope he can stay on the court and keep developing, because I think he's got potential to play college basketball. His height alone is enough to get the scouts looking at him. Well, who on your team that we maybe don't see so many stats in the scorebook that's playing well and making some contributions for you?
Our freshman, Jonah Tackett. He's started, I think, ever since Christmas break, or maybe a game or two after Christmas break. Jonah's a freshman. He's about 5'6", 5'7", and I think it'd be hard to find somebody that in our area that plays as hard and good of defense as Jonah. The other night we ended up putting him on lane run with Holy Trinity, and Lane 6'4". So real good player, had a real good first half against us. And, we put Jonah on him, caused some turnovers, got some steals, and a few layups in transition. And Jonah's a guy for us that just really sets the tone defensively. And when he does that, guys like Aurelio really come on board and kind of follow and feed off of that. So, Jonah's a real big help on the defense and just bringing that intensity. And then from an offensive standpoint, sophomore Zeke grows. He started all year for us, but early on without Darius, he was playing inside and in a position that he's just undersized for, but had to play bigger than what he's is capable of based on his size. Because Zeke's been out on the perimeter with our offense and Darius on the inside, and Zeke's really been shooting the ball well lately. I think he's 7 of 15 on the season for threes, and just playing well and getting better and better each game. So those two guys right now are really playing well. Aurelio, game after game here lately, is getting more confidence to shoot the ball. He's a kid that can definitely get to the basket, but he started to shoot the three. And, I think he's 4 of 12 on the season, shooting threes at 33%, which is not a terrible percent, but he just needs to shoot a few more, I think, and things like that. And then, off the bench, Lucas Helmick, Ruby Ulick, Reese Huey are all guys that at any point can knock some shots down and do some things. Lucas has been really good for us in our press, up on the ball, trapping, getting some deflections. We knocked down 5 big free throws against Fairfield the other night. So, we've got all kinds of guys that can do some different things. What we're hoping is that, between, starting Friday and for the rest of the season, all those guys are ready to play and fill those roles and hopefully get us a few more victories playing together over these next 9 games.
All right. Tell me a little bit about, Scotty Mellon's super high on this Tackett kid. I think he might have played in the JV game in Fairfield that I did. Tell me that your JV team looks pretty good to me. I think you got some good talent coming in there. They handled Fairfield. They did perform very well in that JV game, and I did see you there. Tell me a little bit about maybe some of these younger players that are coming up.
Well, again, when you look at our roster, we have one senior that plays. Everybody else is junior, sophomores, freshmen. And we have 5 or 6 juniors in our program. And, so there's 6 of our 22 that are juniors and seniors, right? So 16 guys in our program are currently freshmen or sophomores. Super young, super athletic. And they just got to understand what it takes to play hard and do the things that we're asking them to do from a coaching standpoint, getting to the gaps and being disciplined. There's guys out there in our program right now that they just want to score the ball. And just going and scoring the ball doesn't get you on the floor. We tell our guys every day, if you want to start, if you want more playing time, or if you want any playing time, we've got to be able to trust you. We've got to be able to trust that you are going to do what we expect. We need to trust you to play defense. We need to be able to trust you to make the right decisions when the ball's in your hands by not turning it over and those kind of things. So our JV team, we do play some of our varsity guys that are sophomores down at the JV level because they need all the experience they can get. There's different roles with those sophomores and freshmen at the JV level than they are at varsity. They go play JV and they're expected to score and lead the team. When they get to the varsity, we've got Nolan and Darius to lead scoring. And so those guys just got to kind of understand those rules and how they differentiate between the different levels. So, the future is definitely bright with our fresh softs and our juniors. Even last night, I watched our 8th graders play against Washington, and I think the final score is 54-7. And so, I think they played 12 kids at our 8th grade A team last night, and the future's bright for Fort Madison basketball, and we've just got to understand the mindset and the effort and all those things that it takes at the varsity level to compete and to win.
Well, I'll tell you what, I watch a lot of JV, just because I want to know, I don't just want to know what the team's like this year, but what I can see that we can add on to the team next year. And I'm real high and positive on your JV. I think you got 3, 4, 5 players that can contribute. Some start, some off the bench and whatever. But I do think you got the future looks bright. Well, let's talk about what the near future holds for you. Who are you playing this week?
So we are home with after 4 games on the road. Basically, we went to Central League, Keokuk, Fairfield, and Holy Trinity this week. We play Friday at home against Mount Pleasant, which will be a tough game. They just beat Oskaloosa last night.
Yeah, I watched that.
10th ranked Oskaloosa. who Monday night beat Keokuk by 2. So, kind of an interesting deal there. But, so we have a really tough Mount Pleasant team that's going to come in on Friday. They've got the Noah Lang kid healthy, Ryan Helling's healthy. So we're going to have our hands full there. And then on Tuesday, we go down to Clark County, Missouri and play them Tuesday the 27th. And that's going to follow with a stretch of games where we go Friday home with Burlington, Friday home with Pella, and then we turn around on Monday to go to Minneapolis. So
wow, them all rough. That Pella game's real rough.
5 games in about 10 days.
5 games in 10 days. I know the season isn't much. There's not much season left. I mean, we're really getting down there, and a lot of the races are really starting to shape up, already. But, well, boy, Coach, those are some tough games. Mount Pleasant, yeah, they've been a little up and a little down this year, but that was a big, big win, and I did get to see that game last night. And Oskaloosa's terrific. I mean, they really. I mean, I've seen them several games this year, and they just didn't have it right together, or they underestimated them, or something, or somehow Noah Lang, or not Noah Lang, but Isaiah Lang was having a big game. He probably had 20 points or better in that game, but I don't know. They just did enough, and then it looked like they were going to run away with it. But in that last couple minutes, or I think with 30 seconds left, Oskaloosa got down 1. They made up about 9 points in about a minute, but it was a good game, and they held it together, and they won that. So, well, I'm wishing you luck, Coach. I don't really have any more questions for you. Is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't got a chance to talk about?
No, again, it's just, the season's getting to that point where we've got 9 games left here, and it's winding down. And next thing you know, we'll be in postseason play and gearing up for. Yeah, it's a long season, but at the same time, blink of an eye, it comes to an end pretty quick. So, yeah, just happy to talk with you and talk about Fort Madison basketball when the opportunity arises, and appreciate all your support of Southeast Iowa sports in general. And yeah, should be an interesting next couple weeks for sure.
We're always got so many listeners down there in Fort Madison. I really love that community and the sports community down there. They're always sticking with Round Guy Radio, and we'll never stop covering Fort Madison. But let me ask you something. You play a lot of games in Illinois and a lot of games in Missouri. Do those count in the Iowa schedule?
That's kind of a tricky thing, in my opinion. I don't think that we play, what do we have? We actually have narrowed some things down to where we only play West Hancock, Illinois, and we only play Clark County, Missouri now. But those games, in my opinion, don't tend to be factored into things. Like when they do the rankings and all that stuff, they don't understand, like when we play a West Hancock who's 15-3 right now, who's really, really good. So obviously it counts on our record, but when it comes into the seedings or rankings or any of that stuff, I don't know how they handle that stuff at the state level.
I know it'd be difficult to adjust. Well, this was if that team was the 15th best team in Illinois, would that be the 7th best team in Iowa?
Again, they're ranked number 4 in the state of Illinois. I think, what are they, 2A or whatever they are in Illinois?
I know they got a great player over there that's probably going Division I. We hear about him a lot.
Yeah, Cooper Knowles. Yeah, he sounds like he visited Iowa a couple weeks ago, and he's a great player. And it's just crazy to think between Cooper, Jackson Clark, and Darius Foy. We got 3 guys that are about 6'10" right here in this corner of the state, and all of them are great players. And it's interesting. So,
all right. Well, thanks for taking some time with us. Good luck with the rest. See, you got 9 games left, but you're going to play 5 of them in 7 days. So,
yeah, it's going to be a whirlwind.
We'll be peeling them games off here like an onion here pretty quick. Well, thanks for being with us, and congratulations on getting your first win of the season. And I hope I'm just a big believer in wins breed other wins. You know what I mean? Once you get that win, you get the taste for winning. You get the confidence. You win another game, you get more confidence. So good luck, and thank you for what you're doing for the Fort Madison community and these young men.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
All right.